I'm not waiting for you. Well, shut up.
Okay. And we are live. Thanks, Claire. Okay, folks, good evening and welcome to this week's edition of Mauls, Balls and All, our IRB weekly Wednesday rugby chat. Joining us this week, we have our usual, some of our usual suspects. We have the contrariest man in rugby, Peter Burke. We have the welcome Matt Boland. We have Connacht's most loyal supporter who goes out in the pisses of fucking rain and watches a lot of shite rugby, but he still turns up every week. That's James Grennan. We also have our spice bag and all-round good egg and travel expert, Claire. We have a shepherd from Kerry called Danny. And we have ex-Munster, Bristol and Ireland legend, David Corkery. Welcome.
Welcome, David.
Hey.
Welcome, David. Glad to have you on board this week.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
No problem. No problem at all.
It's a bit of crack.
Absolutely. Okay, guys, we'll have the messages rolling in for any of our viewers down the bottom of the screen. I'll ask you, Peter Burke, just to interrupt as needs be and ask the whatever comes our way. So look, we had a game on the weekend. It was Ireland versus England. David, as our guest, I take it, would I be right in saying that you saw the match? And what did you think?
Yeah. Well, I suppose if I start with England, not that we should be starting with England, but I thought they were absolutely appalling. To see a nation like England, from what they were, that display they showed on Saturday was a joke. I mean, clearly they don't have control of their players, which is the big thing in Irish rugby. RFU control their players, and just the performance from some of them. I mean, they were high-fiving crooked throws from Ireland. That seemed to be the highlight of what they're about. They were running in from 60 yards, patting each other on the back for a collapsed scrum. I mean, that's not English rugby. That's not the English rugby that I knew, that I played against anyway. I mean, they were a dominant force. Yeah, okay. They were a bit arrogant along the way, but they had the results to be arrogant, and I just thought it was a joke. The Irish performance, look, a win is a win. It wasn't perfect by any means. There are issues in the line-out. But the big thing for me is that these warm-up games, I think it's very hard to judge any performance from them because they are what they are. There's nothing tangible at the end of those games. There's no reward. There's no medal at the end of it. The anticipation of the players going into these games, I suppose one of their main goals, and I know because I've been there myself, is to get through the game and be not injured at the end of it. And no matter what you do or what you say before the game in terms of trying to G players up to get them up to match intensity level, it's impossible. It's impossible to do it. I mean, it's a yes, it's an international, but it's a friendly at the end of the day. Nothing tangible. Maybe one or two players were playing for their places on the day, but you cannot replicate, a World Cup scenario, a World Cup game in a warm-up friendly. It's impossible. So for me, these games, they're nothing more really than good fitness sessions, contact fitness sessions for the real thing. Which will start when they play Romania. And look, they're going to hopefully destroy Romania along the in that game, but anything can happen. And they're good warm-up sessions, they're good fitness sessions, they're good contact sessions, but that's really all they are. Because when the real competition starts, and it is the blue ribbon event of World Rugby, that's when we know where Ireland truly are. Okay, so You've kind of confirmed that the question I was going to ask is that do you feel that they're absolutely necessary given the preparation that Farrell and his backroom team have already put in? So look, I think you've kind of answered that one for us, David. Claire Devaney, did you see the game? What did you think?
I did. I was in the Aviva watching it. Lovely Ulster supporters beside me. there was once or twice we had to tell people standing in front of us to sit down, because they were there on the piss. Now, nothing against people having drinks at rugby matches, but you sit down watching a rugby match, you don't stand up in front of people.
Oh, Claire has temporarily.
That must have been someone that was standing in front of her.
Yeah.
Oh, you're back with us, Claire.
No,
you're gone
no,
again.
right there. Am I back? Hold on. I'm back in. Yeah. No, yeah, it was a good game. I went in. People were asking me what I thought about the game, and I do remember standing on the train and saying to my friends, I want to come out with no injuries. That's to come out of this game with no injuries, because what happens now is not really as important as what happens in 3 weeks' time. We need to go in 3 weeks' time to play great, and we've been known to, when we hit World Cups, kind of go, what's going on here? So we don't want that happening this year. So yeah, it was a good game. Just let's see what happens. Well, Samoa the weekend, and then all guns blazing on the 9th of September.
Yeah,
against Romania. Yeah.
Okay, Danny Brosnan, did you see the game?
Yeah, I missed the opening 20 minutes. It was all right.
Why? Because your Wi-Fi was fucked, was it?
Well, it seems to be working absolutely perfect right now, Burke, you know. So there's nothing like that to have to worry about. But no, it's a good enough run out from us. So I'd say that team's kind of first game together in about 5 months. So it's nice to see him kind of knock off some of that ring rust, if you want to call it that. I think the sending off was a little bit of a game changer, give that a bit more space to play and stuff like that. But it's just a good enough performance overall, to be honest with you. We're kind of hitting the right places, hitting the right spots after a while. But yeah, happy with it. I think the only concern I have is maybe Ross Byrne practicing off the tee a bit, because he did leave a few points behind him. More than that, happy enough with it.
Okay, James Grennan.
Yeah, I saw the game, and I agree with David there. I thought England were absolutely abysmal. They were like a club team playing an international game, and they were just terrible, absolutely horrendous. But the upside for me was, at the risk of sounding a little bit parochial, the Connacht boys, I was very, very impressed with how they played, and I was absolutely delighted for Earlsey getting his try on his 100th cap. That was just, even watching that the next day, it gives you goosebumps. It's just such a special moment, and delight for him and his family as well. So that was my highlight of the game.
Okay, Matt Boland.
Yeah, look, I saw the game. It was evident from the start that in the first half that it was two teams really warming up for a World Cup, and they were just very careful in what they were doing. They were just kind of sizing each other up, and generally as the game went on, then it just got a bit better in the second half. But again, as everybody else has said, has alluded to, England were pathetic. Ireland have a lot to work on, but the signs are there. It was a good performance, great for Earlsey getting his 100 cap and a try to top it off. Yeah, look, I mean, it was good for our point of view. I really worry for England. Their discipline is incredible, and that's all I'm going to really say on that at the moment. So yeah, good start for us. So I'm happy with that.
Great stuff, Peter Burke. Finally,
yes. Fucking hell, lads! Like, would you stop dancing around? Like, David Corkery, I agree with you. I agree with everyone.
We're being different.
I know you're being diplomatic, right? England were fucking shite, right? Just call it as it is. They're shite. They've been shite under Borthwick, right? The last 5 games England played, they've conceded 20 tries, right? So you're looking at 4 tries a game. This is England. And why are we worried about England, Matt? Why are we worried about England?
It wasn't.
Like, so what? No, but you said you'd worry for England and their discipline. Who cares?
Well,
like, I know. Yeah, okay, right. I'm being kind of flippant, but like, it's it was a game that we were expected to win. Okay, it's simple as because England aren't a form. Borthwick, I don't think will have a job very much longer. Although the caveat is, if you all remember, what when we had Victor Costello on last week, he said, and Dave Corkery, you remember this, in 2007, we put 40 points on England. And what did they do in the World Cup in that year?
Won it.
They would.
Yeah, but that was a completely different team. I mean,
but if we're talking about performances and stuff like that, I mean, we made, I think, 15 changes to the Irish team that started against Italy. Farrell, in his post-match interview, said what you saw there was the good, the bad, and the ugly, and he was right. It's only it's our Ireland's second test match in I don't know 2-3 months or whatever it was, so it's going to be rusty. But England are not a great side at all.
It was the game that the game that matters is the 9th of September. We're going out to play Samoa on Saturday. Come out with it with no injuries. There's 4 dates: the 9th of September, the 16th of September, the 23rd of September, and the 7th of October. They're the days we need to be up. Doesn't matter if we put 100 points on Samoa at the weekend.
Which I don't think we will. But anyway, just to end on my point, sorry, Pete, Keith Earls, delighted for him. Keith Earls is doing this for 15 years. You know, scoring his 36th international try, his 100th try, I think, overall. What an occasion for him. I'm delighted for him. I was delighted to see it, delighted to see the photographs with his kids afterwards and all that. He's some servant. And I read your article, David Corkery, on the Echo Live, and I agree with you. I think Earls would go ahead of Stockdale. I know you like Stockdale for the brawn aspect to it, but I think Earls will go ahead of him.
I think so. I mean, you've got to look at the bigger picture, really, and what Earls brings to the squad is far more than just actual playing. Ireland certainly are fit enough, they're strong enough, they're clever enough, but the whole mental aspect of going to a World Cup and doing well and keeping the squad as a family is hugely important. And Earls will be a key player in that. And I know that you have to be a serious player and everything has to go right for you to win a World Cup. But for that to happen, there has to be a happy camp. And as we all know, Ireland have never been beyond a quarter-final in a World Cup scenario. And one of the main reasons we've never done that is because the camp has always been fractured. Either a couple of players against the coaches, a couple of players fighting amongst themselves. You know, we had the Eddie O'Sullivan scenario where he just kept on picking the same 15 time and time again, and the other half of the squad got eventually peed off. And when that happens, you lose the dressing room. And when you lose the dressing room as a coach, you might as well walk out the door. So to keep the squad happy and to keep them all united, it's hugely important. And to have Earls there, as someone who's been there, he's done, he's got multiple T-shirts. He was a British Lion at the age of 21. And you could see the love and the care and the joy that the rest of the squad have for him when he scored his try. It was immense. England were running in, giving high fives for a missed throw. Ireland only ran in when Keith Earls scored his try. That for me was kind of the most important frame of that game. To see the joy that it brought the other players, it was just incredible. And the guy is a living legend, and he'll bring.
Well, I'll tell you, David. Where England are going to suffer, right? Is Vinipola is the only specialist 8 that England have.
You said a while ago you don't think about England. And now you're talking.
No, I don't. But for the sake of conversation,
well said, David. Well said.
Well fucking said is right.
Yeah.
For the sake of the show, for the sake of conversation, he's the only specialist 8 that England have, and he got a 3 game ban.
3 game ban. 3 game ban.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
What's the first against the World Cup?
Yeah, I can see him, David. I can see him, as we've spoken about here before on this show. I can see him repeating that offence, as I can see Owen
Yes.
Farrell repeating that offence. It's not going to be the end of it. What do you think about?
Yeah, look, there's a very good chance that could happen. I mean, we've seen Farrell on multiple occasions do that type of tackle. It's probably been brought up in a rugby league household. That's the way they're almost taught to tackle from a very young age. They tackle the ball so the ball can't be offloaded. Look, and with the way the game is gone now, anything really above the nipple line is going to be a yellow or a red card. And again, that's one of my fears for this World Cup. I hope it's not going to be known for the red and yellow cards in each game.
We're known as the Nipple World Cup.
The nipple line.
The nipple line, yeah. I mean, that would be my solution to it. Put a line in every jersey across the world, and if you go above that, you're in the bin straight away. And then you can have it reviewed. But I just hope it really doesn't become known for that. How many yellow cards, how many red cards, how many infringements are there going to be? You know, rugby needs a serious, good World Cup. Rugby is on its knees in many countries, and I know we've probably spoken too much about England, but when you see the likes of Wasps and London Irish going under, that's a very, very bad sign for English rugby. And look, I think we all need the likes of Wasps and London Irish to be strong. You know, we don't want to be playing against England and going into those games as hot favourites every time and putting 30, 40 points in them. We need good competition. And that's why we're world number one at the moment. We play against good competition. We're getting better and better and better each time. So rugby needs a very good World Cup because we're struggling at the moment.
Just on the point about England, there was a result there within the last week or so. I think the English under 18s are playing France, and they absolutely hammered them out the gate. And I think some of the point was being made is this is an issue with the club game probably, is that, you know, you're getting kids who've been coached, you know, through minis and youths levels and perhaps into schools, but once they turn 18 years of age, they're picked up by a club and they're basically thrown into the gym, and the rugby element goes out the window to an extent. They're basically they're there to push weights, big weights, get size on them, and the actual skill element becomes almost secondary. Have you any thoughts on that, David?
Yeah, that. Like, since the game went professional in '95 after the '95 World Cup, that's what's happened. I mean, I went to Bristol for a couple of years and we were given weights programs. I got up to 20 stone with a 20-inch neck, but I couldn't move on the field. If you ran at me, I'd kill you. But if you ran to the left or right of me, I couldn't catch you. And in many cases, that's what's happening. I mean, a lot of people now are looking at the South Africans and they're looking at the Argentinians, and it's all about size and power. And that's where World Rugby needs to have a really good meeting, sit down, look at where the game is going, look at ways of making it more exciting, more challenging. It's all about size now. It's all about bulk. It's all about the collision. And you're correct in terms of you don't even have to go beyond 18. Like, there's guys in schools. I know even here in Ireland, these guys, the schools players, they're in the gym before school starts. They don't have a break anymore because they go into the gym again during lunch break. They're on the field after. They do that for 4 days a week. They play a game on Saturday, and then they're back for rehabilitation then on recovery on the Sunday. Like, there's no professional in the world would do that. But that's the way the schools are treating them at the moment. And if they're not in the gym, their viewpoint is somebody else's, and they want to be just as big as those guys. And you look at the South Africans, you look at the RGs, you look at even the Australians now. It's all about bulk, size, and look at the French team. I mean, they're absolutely beasts. They're massive. They've 6'4", 6'5" wingers and centers. Where is it going to stop? Where is the game going to stop?
So do you generally, based on that, do you genuinely feel that we in Ireland are already following the herd as regards the size? You feel there's no balance. We're not balancing out with getting the skills in at the same time as well as getting the gym work in?
Up front, no. In the backs, yes. I mean, you look at the YouTube videos there that are out going about what Andrew Porter and the weights he's pushing, and Cian Healy trying to match them, and so on and so forth. It's incredible. Like, where is that going to stop? That's my concern. Is it just going to turn into a wrestling match where the hits are going to get bigger? The defenses. I mean, most teams now spend most of their training sessions doing defense rather than attack. So that's the way the game is.
Pete and David, sorry to cut across there, but David, there's a good point from a viewer. Good point, David, but Chelsea Colby shows that you don't need to be a Leviathan to be a rugby player.
You don't, but Chelsea Colby is pound for pound the strongest man on the South Africa team. He's
incredibly powerful,
but he's not huge. He's not a porter. He's not an Aki. He's not like muscle bulked up.
Yeah,
No,
he's that small. The one eye you're doing.
Yeah, but if you but that's like, okay. So again, we go back to the old saying of forwards win games, backs determined by how much. If we don't have beasts like Ibenitez playing and Andrew Porter winning those collisions, Chelsea isn't going to get any ball. Keith Earls isn't going to get ball. Sexton won't get ball to play with. That's the way the game has gone, and look, I think it's a problem. I think it's going to be a big problem coming down the track.
David, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you played, there weren't tactical substitutions. Am I right in saying that? Or were there?
There was. Yeah, there was. Just about.
Yeah.
The game had just turned from black and white to colour. Yeah.
Yeah. Just perhaps maybe that's something as simple as that. Like we've seen already, World Rugby have overcomplicated an awful lot of things, in trying to get the game as more perfect or just freed up. Surely it's something as simple as basically, changing the rules as regards tactical substitutes. So the South Africans have their bomb squad coming off. So these guys, all of a sudden, instead of them being 20 and 21 stone coming onto the pitch, they're still going to be big guys, but they're going to be 17 and 18. But everybody, these big guys they'll be lighter. Surely, do you feel that would be? This is something we've discussed previously on here. Do you feel that would be some way to go? There's less. The hits will still go in, but they won't be as big, won't be as damaging, perhaps.
Yeah, like it's hard then to, if we do that, are we diluting rugby? Are we diluting what the game stands for? I just think we have to make the try more attractive, whether we put the try up to 6 points, reduce the penalty to 2 points. I just think there has to be more. I mean, if you look at the Sevens game, it's spectacular, it's brilliant, but there isn't a huge amount of confrontation in it. And that's why it's probably one of the fastest growing sports in the world at the moment. I mean, if you look at the States and you look at the sprinters they have, I mean, these guys are coming into rugby at the age of 22, 23. They have basically no skills, but by Jesus, they can run. And they can move quickly. So do we reduce the numbers playing the game? From 15 to 13 or 14, make it into a kind of a rugby league scenario?
No, I don't think so.
No.
But at the moment, like, and excuse my language, like rugby union is nothing but a bastardized version of rugby league. It's contact. I mean, you go back to the Joe Smith era. It was one out runner, smashing up. And if you can't win those contacts, if you can't win that gain line, you're not going to win the game of rugby. I mean, the scrum is more or less irrelevant now. And it's probably going to be more irrelevant during the World Cup because of this new second rule. So it is being diluted. It is being diluted away to nothing. I mean, you look at the ball being put into the scrum. It's basically put in now at the number 8's feet. There's no contact anymore.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying rugby world or world rugby has a huge challenge on its hand to make the game, to keep it going, first of all, to look at the finances. If you have the likes of England struggling, then God help the likes of Samoa and Tonga and these countries. They're not going to survive.
But just on that point, David, just on that point about the scrums and the ball going into the number 8's feet, the law still is that the ball should go in straight. So why isn't that being policed? And
because they don't want a contest anymore. They're looking at the scrum as being a very dangerous scenario, and they don't want the contest. They want the ball in and out, and people not engaging.
It's a means of restarting the game, basically.
Yeah, that's all it is. I mean, they might as well just tap it off, give it to the number 8, and leave him play away, because the scrum is gone. I mean, it's
sorry, go on, Claire.
Is that because they're trying to get the game faster? They're trying to make it more faster, like it's a sevens game.
To a certain degree, but they're also trying to reduce the amount of injuries within the game as well. And they look at the scrum as being a major issue for that. And you look at the contact. I mean, again, back in my time, back in the black and white time, you know, it was a 30-yard run up into the scrum, and it was a massive collision. And that's completely gone now. I would think pretty soon there will be no actual. The only time you'll be able to put pressure on is when the ball actually comes in. And now the ball is going straight into the number 8's feet, so it's only in there for a split second. So yeah, they're trying to make it. They're trying to make it quicker, but there's also the whole side of the injury thing and the whole litigation. I mean, the reason why we've seen so many changes in the laws around the contact in the game is because of litigation, and that's end of argument for me. The laws changed.
But what I was going to ask you, David, was that pre-95, when the game was amateur, rugby was very much seen as a collision sport.
Yeah.
It then transgressed post-95 into an avoidance sport. It's now come back into the realm of a collision sport, because that's where you need the collisions, the mauls, the rucks, the line-out mauls, to depending on where you are in the pitch. If you're 5 meters out, you're going to maul after a line-out and all that. So, the game it's gone collision, avoidance, collision, and then it'll probably go avoidance again with all the new laws and tackle laws and everything that are coming in. Would you agree with that, or just go no? It's actually it's gone to shit.
It's gone to shit in a certain way. I mean, there is some very good games out there, and they are exciting. But rugby is a very, very much at a crossroads now. I see one of your listeners there is putting in the likes of Dan Carter is not going to allow his kids to play rugby.
Matt Dawson the same.
Yeah,
I mean, they're afraid, and I don't want to frighten anybody, or I don't want anybody not to play rugby. I was asked a very good question a couple of months ago, and I was asked the question: would I play rugby today, the way the game has gone? And would I have played back when I was playing? The answer, would I have played rugby when I was playing, is the answer would be no, knowing what I know now. But if I was asked, would I play rugby today and would I allow my kids to play rugby today, the answer would be 100% yes. Because they've learned from their mistakes, they know they were wrong, and they've made the changes. But if I knew what I did back then, that I know today, I wouldn't have played the game. I'd be an idiot if I did. And that's been fully honest with you. So, like I keep on saying it, rugby's at a very, very crucial time in its evolution. It's at a crossroads. That's why this World Cup is so important, that they get it right and they don't turn it into a fourth official show. And we don't want to see headlines like we've seen with Farrell and Vinipola, because that's not what rugby's about. Rugby's about playing the game, incredible tries, incredible tackles, incredible skill. And all we've seen for the last couple of years is bloody red cards, yellow cards, players being banned, players not being banned. And that's not what rugby's about.
No.
There was a question come in there. I think it skipped through. And David, I think it was towards you. Do you think during this World Cup that we'll see refs issuing any red cards, or will it all just go to the bunker? It'll be a yellow card and let the guys in the bunker decide it?
Yeah, they go to the bunker. because they want to speed the game up. They don't want to have the game stopped for 3 or 4 minutes while the referee is looking at a big screen. So they go to the bunker, and that's why that's brought in. Now I was disappointed with the Vinopola red card because that was such a red card. It was incredible. There was no need to go put it on the water.
Such a red card, Jesus Christ! It was
it was funny. When the referee, you could hear the referee saying to James Ryan, the process. He was basically, so for me, I thought that was a clear indication. The referees are being given direction. This is what we're doing. End of story. Do not make a decision on a card. Trust the process, and they're relaying it to the players.
That's
you're right, Pete. Yeah, you're right.
Speeding the game up. That's the thing. And it's the same with the scrum. I mean, on average, the scrum is taking 2.5 minutes to set and to finish at the moment because of all the collapses, whereas now it's gone down to 30 seconds, I think. Again, that's just an effort to make the game quicker and make it get more bums on seats and get more TV audiences watching it. Because that's.
But I'm curious, David. I've often said that there should be time off for scrum resets.
Yeah, there should be, and many teams use that as an advantage to slow down the game or run out the clock.
Yeah.
But look, at least they're doing something now about it, which is great.
David, just have a question for you in relation to the scrum and the fact, of course, that the World Cup is happening in France, and we've heard Ronan O'Gara famously say back in when he was in pundit on TV there, in the World Cup final, when he said, and he came up with the line in France, they have a line, no win, no scrum, no win.
Right.
And we know how much that the French, they're big on their scrum and all that. And just that, former international prop Mike Ross, I think he put it up on I think he was asked a question or he shared it on social media or put it up as an idea to improve, I suppose, or try to maybe bring through the next perhaps or breed the next generation of good proper tie head props here, is that they increase the length of time that the ball is in the scrum in school. So I think they're only allowed push 1 meter.
A meter. Yeah.
A meter, that's what it is. He was saying perhaps make it 1.5 meters, so that left a little bit of extra time basically will help develop tie head props. Your thoughts?
Yeah, no, he's correct. Like what I would say and what I have seen is that players are coming out of school like they're developing in school. They're basically men now when they come out of schools in terms of size and strength, and they're going in more or less straight away into the adult game. I mean, you look at Sam Prendergast now getting a Leinster contract, a Leinster senior contract. I know he's not a prop, but he's going in with the big boys now.
Jesus Christ! I mean, a breeze would fucking blow him out the fucking window, though, David. Though. You know what I mean? Like, so does he have to adhere to the standards of bulking up and being this big?
Yeah.
I mean, of course, he is going to have to bulk up. There's no two ways about it, because he is going in with the big boys now. And I mean, if you were an opposing coach and you saw him, what's the first thing you get your biggest and ugliest rugby player to do?
Exactly. Go after him. But particularly, you're 7, you're up inside. Go for the 10. Yeah,
I mean, look, Sexton wasn't much bigger than him when he kind of first came onto the scene, and he's developed into a fine specimen, I suppose, the best way to describe it. So, look, I've seen Prendergast play. I watched him actually when they played England down here in Cork in the under-20s. And he is a super player. He's mature beyond his age. But he does certainly need to put on a few kgs to be mixing it with the big boys now.
Get a few Big Macs into him, David. What?
Yeah, a few burgers and beers. That's
I'll donate him a couple of spice bags.
Brilliant. I suppose. Look, we've kind of. I've one of the other items I put down here as a point to cover has been the Farrell and Vunipola bans. I think it goes without saying, just to start the I suppose to continue on this conversation that probably needs to be put to bed at this stage, but I'll just bring it up anyway.
Yeah.
That the Farrell, the whole thing about Farrell, what has happened has been an absolute mess, and I suppose the folly is that from my own viewpoint, when I saw that his ban had been reduced down. When you saw what George Moala got, a 10-week ban,
Yeah,
a 10-game ban.
yeah.
And Bundy.
It just made me laugh out loud and incredulous at the fact like they're introducing mitigation about good character and all this kind of stuff. So when they've come out and they've said they've mitigated it down to an extent by good character, what is that saying about
it's a load of fucking bollocks.
Is he saying that George Moala is going to go out and kill people or something? It just makes absolute.
It's a load of fucking shite, right? It's a load of fucking shite. Call it as it is. It's a load of shite, right?
Yeah.
Sexton got a 6-week ban down to 3 or 8-week ban down to 3 for saying some
verbals, bad words for hurting feelings.
He wasn't even playing the fucking game, right? He walked onto the pitch and he gave out the fucking toilet paper or whatever it's fucking name.
A bit late for a rant alert here.
No,
he hurted his feelings. He hurted his feelings.
Exactly, right? He wasn't even playing the fucking game. He got a 8 down to 3-week ban, whatever the fuck it was. Right? Vinipola, Farrell were on the pitch. Vinipola had a savage tackle. Now I know, David, you wrote about this, and you're ad nauseum. You're pissed off that you don't talk about it anymore. But we're going to talk about it now for the sake of the show. Now, so you have a guy who tells a referee basically to fuck off your shite. You did a crap job, right? Wasn't playing. Owen Farrell, Billy Vinipola, the fellow you mentioned, Pete.
George Moala
and James Grant, Bundy Aki, but his tackle. They were all on the pitch. They were all playing the fucking game, right? And Sexton gets, a ban. It's just World Rugby, I think, are so far up their own fucking hole that they don't know what they're doing at the moment.
Are you saying the Sexton ban was wrong, Peter?
I think it was wrong. Yeah, I think it was wrong. I think it was unjustified. I think it was totally wrong. Yeah.
But what do you want then? Do you want us to turn into a form of soccer?
No, I don't. No, I don't. No, I don't. But what I want to see is consistency with World Rugby, and I want to see a proper bans in place, if warranted, if they're playing the fucking game. Like,
stall the ball now, Berkey. Stall the ball. This game is built on respect. And what Sexton did was totally disrespectful, bringing the game into disrepute, and he deserved everything he got, and he should have got it more twice on Sundays.
No, he didn't. I don't agree with that at all. I don't agree with that at all.
But Peter, if we don't sanction or punish players for doing that, I mean, we'll have everybody doing it. Do you want under 12s going up to the referees after games?
Yeah, it's about example.
No, I don't. Listen, hold on. Don't get me wrong. Listen, I don't. It's not.
Okay, backtracking.
The cogs are going backwards. Look, the cogs are going
backwards.
Take us up a Heineken, Peter. Take us up a Heineken. Slow down. Go on, take us up.
Okay, and take another one. Take another one.
I'm out. Go on. Good luck. Fuck off. Go on. Continue on. Go on. I'm not saying anymore.
Oh, we did. Sorry, Peter. We didn't mean to hurt your feelings.
What World Rugby did was they took an opportunity to set precedent, and I think they were right. I think rugby is a game. There is a huge amount of respect involved in it, and the last thing you'd want to see happen is it turn into a form of soccer where the players are surrounding the referee and getting away with it. I mean, how soccer allow that is just beyond me, and it would just take a year.
He wasn't even playing.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. He was on the pitch. He was on the pitch.
He was interacting with the to go near the referee at all and say
he shouldn't have been on the pitch.
Shouldn't have been there in the first place.
He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy.
White flag you'll see from Burke.
You're actually fucking talking.
Go on.
What? Why did he apologize?
Right. Seeing as we've raised blood pressure there and got people exercised. Shall we move on towards the upcoming Samoa game and perhaps then the squad selection that's going to follow on thereafter? We've had a bit of a scare with Dan Sheehan having an injury to his foot. And I think it's fair to say certain people, up and down the country, we're all kind of pulling out the rosary beads and praying that it's not significant, particularly as Mike Catt has kind of said that he's pretty much a very vital. Look, we don't need Mike Catt to tell us he's a vital player in the way Ireland play. He gives us that X factor. Do we have an opinion as regards, how this is going to fare out for Sheehan? Like the official word is due out tomorrow. Has anybody any thoughts on how this is going to really affect us?
Who's our backup? Who we got? That's
apparently Kelleher is not injured. Kelleher.
We have one of the Munster lads coming in. I think he's gone out to France with the team to his uncapped. Surely we have someone else.
Baron.
No,
Baron.
Kelleher is our backup and Rob Herring. They're the two that
and Tom Stewart.
Yeah, you got
Tom Stewart as well. Yeah, that's three.
Yeah.
Tom Stewart is a good player.
Yeah.
David, just a question to you. How do you, in your experience, how does something like this affect the rest of the squad? Are players basically, when they know that Dan is, effectively he's a world-class player. They know that Ronan Kelleher has been a big player there as well. They're both not going to be in the running for the game against Samoa. How do other players feel in the squad about the uncertainty that perhaps breeds?
No, I think they'll be fine. I think in previous World Cups and previous squads, I think it might have been an issue, but not with this squad. They're too intelligent. They're too calm. They seem to have all the boxes ticked. They're not going to leave something like this upset them. I mean, they play to a certain pattern, and they can, with a flick of a switch, they can change that pattern. So yeah, Dan Sheehan is a fabulous player. How he gets some of the tries he gets is beyond me. I'll be honest with you. He's not the biggest bloke in the world. He's not a powerhouse, which is, I suppose, goes against our debate from earlier on. But he's very intelligent, and I think Farrell is intelligent. I think he's built a fantastic team around him. And they've got a squad. They've assembled a squad, and this squad hasn't been assembled, in the last year or 24 months. It's been assembled really over the last 4 years, since the last World Cup failure. So there have to be, to win a World Cup, you have to have at least 3 players that are capable of doing the job with that coordinates with the number on their back, and I think we have that at the moment. Yeah, look, there's only one Sexton. I think he would be a big loss if he was to be lost to injury or whatever means. But we have a squad that is good enough to win a World Cup. My only fear is that we have set ourselves up to be the prime target by every single team we play against. We're up there on a pedestal to be knocked. And that's going to be, for me, the hardest thing. And come the South African and Scottish game, I just wonder what's going to be left standing. I mean, the Romanian game should be easy enough. The Tongan game could be a car crash. Samoa at the weekend could be a car crash in terms of injuries. So it's just going to be, we need a bit of luck. We need the likes of Dan Sheehan. I think they'll bring him, even if he is injured.
He will go. He
will go, and I hope that he'll recover for hopefully when we get into the quarterfinals. So,
David, there's a question, or there's a comment there that you'll get a laugh out of. Peter, as someone who's married to a Cork person, you'll never win an argument or debate with them. It's surprising how no one ever mentions Raj acting like a soccer coach and getting his bans. Yeah, there you go.
Well, in France, that's the norm. I'll be honest with you. If every coach doesn't get banned in France,
if you don't have a ban, you're not
a coach.
He's viewed as a bad coach. But no, Raj is like Sexton. I mean, these guys, they don't get to where they
exactly.
Yeah, they don't get to where they are in the world without being ruthless and without being extremely passionate, and will do anything for their team to win. So if they have a gripe, they're going to air their voice. But the way Sexton did it, I thought was wrong.
I don't look.
Yeah.
We agree to disagree on that.
He also went to the dressing rooms at halftime as well. We must,
I got to the dressing room at halftime.
Can I
just sway the referees?
Can I just bring everyone's attention there to Danny's Mac Hansen-esque haircut? Turn around there, Danny. We have a look.
Come on, Brazil.
Love the interest.
Are you going out later to throw fucking petrol bombs at your local police?
Are you going out now?
Did you have a tribute to Keith Earls in there, and you had to shave it out before the match or before the show tonight?
I had to come from last Wednesday as well. Got one on, so been there for a bit.
Very good.
I still can't understand what he says after all.
So thoughts on?
That's okay.
No idea. The subtitles are given up.
Right.
So just narrowing it down then to squad selection. David, going to ask you that crucial question, I suppose. There's 38 players in the training squad at the moment. Give me the 3 who are going to get the handshake and the hug from Farrell.
Oh, I'd have to have the list in front of me now, which I don't. Obviously, the Earl.
You got to go with Ken and Doris.
You're sending him home?
Okay, Dad.
What?
Says home?
That's not even.
No.
That's not even a discussion. He's penciled in. I mean, he's first in the plane.
Van der Veer is definitely there as well.
Yeah. Peter Romani is a shoe-in. Jack Conan, whether Jack Conan recovers or not.
He'll be there.
Yeah, but they might have to bring him with being slightly injured going out, which is not a great thing to do. But look,
true.
And in some respects,
the same point you could raise for Ronan Kelleher and Dan Sheehan.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but they'll bring them. I mean, I say Dan Sheehan is hopefully.
I'm just laughing at that comment there. The Healy Rays told Danny to get a haircut and they'll make him a counsellor. Hence, he has good broadband tonight.
Yeah. Someone bought it. Someone paid someone off.
I'd say that's probably Darrell Weston.
It is indeed.
It is too, yeah.
Yeah, not surprised.
So go on, Davis. Nailed on the plane, Davis. So we have Doris, Josh Van der Fleer, James Ryan, Peter O'Malley. Who else? Keen Healy, yeah, okay.
Yeah. There's no issues with scrum halves at this point. I think we know who they're going to be. I think fly halves, obviously we know who they're going to be. Centers.
That's a tough one.
Yeah. Ring Rose will go. Aki will go. I thought Aki was superb last week.
He was. Yeah.
Mind you, if he gets any bigger, he's going to be losing a lot of pace. But my God, he's an immense size of a man now.
He's getting ready for France next year.
Did you see the photograph of him, David?
Yeah.
In the gym.
Yeah. I know.
He's bulking up to move to France next year, I reckon.
But you see, this goes back to our talk earlier. I mean, you have a 16, 17-year-old kid looking at that photo and saying, if I want to be an international player and play professional rugby, that's the size I need to be. So this again goes back to the challenge that World Rugby have. How do we stop players? Like, they're basically bodybuilders now. Bodybuilders who can run fast and have lots of skill. So it's a very, very different game now than what it was 10, 15 years ago. It's changing every year, and serious challenges ahead of us. But getting back to the squad, I would say all bar 2 really have been penciled in. I think Stockdale at the weekend, he'll probably more than definitely play. He'll have if he gets 3 tries, runs the length of the field a few times. Will that change Andy Farrell's mind? He's physically bigger than Earls. He's probably stronger, faster, but Earls brings far more to the game than just his playing ability. And that's why I think he'll definitely be on the plane.
Yeah, good question there from Christopher Goff is so there's Victor flying the plane.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Sorry, David, to clarify, we had Victor Costello on last week.
Yeah.
As a guest, and that's
I sat next to Victor on many a flight, and Victor, I don't know if he spoke about it last week, but he did those flights with a jacket over his head. He was so afraid of flying. He basically had to be like, yeah, honest to God, he was like Mr. T in the 80s back in the day.
Oh my God!
He had to be sedated on some of the, well, I think he did anyway, to get on a flight, and now he's a pilot.
Yeah, mad.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
When I heard he was a pilot,
shit, if I'd known that before we had him on, I would have fucking slagged the whole off.
It's kind of, I hate being a passenger on a motorbike, but I love driving them. Victor,
honestly.
Yeah. But I sat next to the guy many flights with his jacket over his head. He was so petrified of flying.
And come here, David. Did you see? Did you see Victor on last week's show?
No, I didn't see it. No, sorry.
All right, okay.
No.
Go on, Pete.
No. I suppose. Look, the only thing I was just like you were coming towards the center, center's positions, David. Like an awful lot of people, like in my own opinion, just to express it, saying that McCluskey shouldn't go. I personally would have both McCluskey and Aki going because, look, they're both out and out 12s. There's no utility there, but I do think for the way that Farrell plays, they're both a reference point in the middle of the when the game is broken up. So where we need straight line runner, and you'd have Aki there or else Stewart there to take it, bust through some tackles, take some bodies in, and kind of reset and go from there. Do you think that's the kind of is that the kind of value that Farrell would have in those players?
Yeah, I mean that's the way a lot of teams are playing. I mean, you go back to the likes when Kevin Maggs was playing for Ireland and stuff like that. He was just an absolute crash ball merchant, and that's the way a lot of the coaches are playing. And Farrell does the same thing. I mean, there's certain fundamentals of the modern game that will never change from the old game, and getting over that gain line on first and second phase is hugely important. And to have someone like Bundy and Henshaw to do that is hugely important. And they, I don't know, like Aki is good. I thought he had a fantastic game last week. His leg drive and the tackle was superb. But all you need is a very, very quick rush defense, and you can close him down. He doesn't have the footwork of O'Driscoll like O'Driscoll had or Ringrose. So he's a one-trick pony in certain respects, and you know what you get when he's going to get the ball in his hand. Will he last the World Cup? I don't know. Does he have the physical, the fitness to last? When it gets to the knockout stages, which look, and being honest, we're not guaranteed to make with Scotland and South Africa in our group. Certainly the first centre scenario is going to be very, very important, the way Farrell plays the game.
Okay. Anybody else have any further thoughts? I know we've previously discussed about squad selection, and I suppose in particular the Samoa game. Do we feel it's going to be a mix up between the 23 that faced against England and the 23 that faced against Italy, or will it be?
No, I think it'll be an opportunity for some of the fringe players to put their hand up, and I think it's going to be. He's not going to risk. I don't think Farrell's going to risk any of our key guys in that game, because that's going to be a physical game.
Yeah,
Samoa could injure us, could injure some of our players, so I can't see Farrell risking that. And I think we may have it'll be a run out for the likes of Stockdale and some of the other fringe players that are thereabouts, but he's not fully convinced by them just yet. Give them a chance to see what they can do.
Okay. Anybody else have any further thoughts?
Yeah,
on that?
I tend to agree with that. Exactly as James said.
Yeah, I'd say that Fiji game would just be to kind of decide who's getting the last few playing spots and who's on reserve if needed. That's That's all that's going to be.
Fiji?
When are we
We're not playing Fiji. We're not playing Fiji.
You referring to England there, Danny?
You're playing to England? You play Samoa.
No.
Just nod and say yes. Just nod and
No,
say
that's
yes.
why I said it's more. I said whoever is playing that game is basically going to be filled the last few places, and basically who decide who's on backup. That's basically I'd say all the small game will be for.
I got none of that.
There's a lovely question there. Does Victor owe David any points? Cookie and myself are setting up a support group for those owed points by Victor.
That's Dara Weston.
Could only be Dara.
David, does Victor Costello owe you any points?
No. Same that I never drank in my life. He doesn't. He's okay.
Did you not? Oh,
No,
I didn't know
I'm
that.
an non-drinker.
Neither did I.
Yeah, no, never touched alcohol in my life.
Well,
Did you not? All right. I was not aware of that. Okay.
Yeah,
A couple of surprises tonight.
my dad was the same. He was pioneer all his life, but we all made up for it. We drank his share.
yeah.
There you go.
One other topic I was going to bring up, and it's a fairly big game that's on this weekend, is South Africa versus New Zealand.
Yeah.
Juicy. Yes, absolutely.
South Africa, have, pretty much they've mixed up their squad. And interestingly, New Zealand, and I saw this evening, they've named, apart from players who are injured, the likes of Frizzell and Retallick, and someone else is missing. I can't, names escapes me. But importantly, and I suppose crucially, the bench, it's the first time they've gone with a 6-2 split on their bench. So they're literally
that's right. They have
they're literally going toe to toe with the South Africans. Literally.
Yeah, but South Africa have, I think, the two Munster lads, Klein and what's the other fellow, the Viking?
Snyman.
On the bench. Listen, I'll tell you what. The thing about South Africa is they got they have
rant alert.
They have a fucking semi-spoofer as a coach, right, in Razzie. Now, I know he's had success. All right, that's fair enough. We've all had success, right? They have about 4 or 5 good players, right? They have a number 10 who couldn't fucking hit a barn door with a fucking basketball from 10 feet in Libok, right?
He loves hungry.
No. I mean, so, like, South Africa... I think South Africa are way, way, way overrated by the bookies and the social media in what they're doing. South Africa having a fucking hope in hell to win this game.
How come you never see Rassie Erasmus and Donny Osmond in the same place at the same time?
There you go.
Oh, no.
Dad joke.
Yes.
Go on, Evan.
I told you earlier on not to encourage him.
David, have you any thoughts on a seismic clash such as this? It being a big, massive warm-up match. They've only a few weeks ago since the All Blacks beat them.
Yeah, I mean, look, anytime these two teams...
Do you put significance into it, considering they're going full tilt, both teams?
Yeah, I mean, they're... Again, it goes back to my debate from the start of the conversation, I'm sure these guys have at the back of their mind as well. They just want to be on a plane to get to play in the World Cup. But anytime South Africa play New Zealand, there's something special about the game. Maybe it probably goes back. A lot of it goes back to the '95 World Cup final, and probably beyond that. But they're two special teams, and one way. If we look at Ireland at the moment, and they're number 1 in the world. I can tell you now that New Zealand and South Africa couldn't care less where they are ranked in the world. All they care about is winning a World Cup. Nothing else. That's their blue ribbon event. They don't care about Tri-Nations or championships or friendly games or anything like that. They will just do anything they can to win the World Cup because that's all that matters to them. It's religion in their countries. We know what it's like in New Zealand. They have to put the National Guard on call just in case they lose.
Yeah.
Sorry, David, just to cut across, did you feel that's the mindset perhaps we should start taking, because seeing as we've had all the success, we've won a few Six Nations, we've won championships, triple crowns, we've did what we've did. Is this the mindset we should be looking to say, right, this is it, nothing else matters but the Webb Ellis Trophy?
Yeah, if you like, I remember when Philip Brown was CEO of the IRFU, and I remember him saying publicly that, you know, the Six Nations was our bread and butter, and we will try to win every game by putting out our best team. South Africa and New Zealand don't think like that. They look at, you know, these competitions as Mickey Mouse competitions, and they look at it as an opportunity to build for a World Cup. So their next cycle will start as soon as the final whistle goes in this year's World Cup. Their next 4-year cycle will start, and they'll prepare for that. And that's my biggest concern for Ireland at the moment, is that, you know, we're not prepared to take the short-term sacrifice for the long-term gain.
Isn't that what Galtier done with France? Didn't Galtier do that with France? He said he was building for the World Cup, and he would take losses at 6. And at the moment, they're going in and they're playing at home and they're looking good. So I believe Victor actually said that as well last week about.
He did. Victor did say that. He did.
Yeah. And it's like, you look at the Six Nations, it's like Sexton is rolled out nearly every single game. What has Sexton got to prove? What has he got to show? I mean, you know, we've got Crowley, we've got the Byrne brothers there. Start those guys against the likes of France and England and Wales and Scotland. Put Sexton on the bench if needed. But we're building then, at least we're building for a World Cup. And if we have to take a few losses along the way and be ready to win a World Cup, that would make up for, you know, coming second or third in the Six Nations. It's always, with Ireland, it's win, win, win every single game. And that's always been a bugbear of mine as well, is that, you know, we never look beyond the next game. And I just have a very, very bad feeling for this World Cup. We have the squad good enough to do really well.
Why?
Because
hang on, David.
We were number one. We were number one in the world going into the last World Cup as well. And look what happened. Look what happened in the last World Cup when we were number one. Yeah, we barely got beyond the quarterfinals. We've never been beyond the quarterfinal. And now everybody is not, well, a lot of people are saying that, you know, Ireland are favourites to win the World Cup. You know, to win a World Cup, I think you have to lose one. And we've never even been beyond the quarterfinal.
But David, the last World Cup, we didn't beat the top 5 teams in the world.
Fair enough. But again, this goes back to, but that wasn't, again, look at those top 5 teams in the world. They don't care. They don't care that they've lost a friendly against Ireland.
We don't care if we're number one or not. We just want to go and get to a final of a World Cup.
Yeah, but we care about winning every single game. We're not prepared to take a short-term loss for a long-term gain. That's my argument.
Okay. Fair enough.
Do you think
time
care that they lost in a festival game in Chicago? They couldn't care less. All that they're worried about is in 3 weeks' time as to what happens when they play against France on the 8th of next month. That's all they're worried about.
True.
Okay.
True.
Who's going to win the World Cup? Let's finish on this.
Yeah.
Ntamack is going to be a huge loss for France. I would have favoured France to win it. I think the only team that can beat France at times is France themselves. And without Ntamack, they now have an excuse to lose. So I think that's going to be a big loss. So my money would be on New Zealand.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
Yeah.
It's interesting call.
I think if we get to a semi-final, then anything can happen. But it's getting there is going to be the hardest road for Ireland.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
100%.
I'm not even going to fucking do a prediction because I just fucking put a hex on the whole fucking
all
thing.
you do is talk about it.
I'm saying nothing.
Excellent stuff. Okay, folks, look. Look, I think we'll knock it out for that this evening. Look, thanks to everybody who. Claire's just left us prematurely. I'd like to thank everybody who's tuned in this evening, who's put their questions in. We didn't get to every single one of them, but sure, look, that's just the way sometimes it goes. Thanks very much to our regular crew of Peter, Matt, Claire, who's not with us, James, and Danny, and of course, special thank you to David for tuning in and giving us his thoughts on the game and the World Cup going forward. Thanks so much, David, for joining us this evening.
Cheers, David.
Thanks, David.
All right, take care. All the best, everyone.
Take care.
Very much.